You may find yourself asking, is this all there is? Why don't I feel fulfilled even when everything looks fine on the outside? That feeling is your inner self calling you to wake up. Awakening to your truth is about removing all the layers of expectations, pressure, and false identities you've taken on, and starting to look honestly at who you are at your core. So, how do you start? First, take time to slow down. This is difficult in a fast-paced world where everyone is constantly busy, distracted, and trying to keep up. But reflection doesn't happen in noise. It happens in silence. Give yourself time to think, really think, about what matters to you. Ask yourself these simple but powerful questions. What makes me feel alive? What parts of my life drain me? When do I feel most like myself? What values are most important to me? What kind of person do I want to become? You don't need perfect answers right away. What matters is that you start asking. The more you reflect, the more you'll begin to notice patterns. You might realize you're living a life based on someone else's version of success, or that your daily actions don't align with your inner values. That's okay. Awareness is the first step to change. As you awaken to your truth, you'll likely feel uncomfortable at times. That's completely normal. It might mean facing regrets, acknowledging unhealthy habits, or admitting that you've been avoiding your dreams out of fear. But don't judge yourself. This process requires compassion. You're not here to blame yourself, you're here to reconnect with who you are. Awakening also means accepting that your past doesn't define you. The things you've been through may have shaped you, but they do not limit you. You are allowed to grow beyond them. You're allowed to want more, to dream bigger, and to become someone new, without feeling guilty about it. It's important to understand that becoming your best self isn't about adding more to your life. It's often about removing what doesn't belong, whether that's self-doubt, toxic relationships, limiting beliefs, or old stories you keep telling yourself. For example, if you constantly think you're not good enough, ask yourself where that belief came from. Was it something someone told you when you were young? Was it based on a past failure? Once you recognize that the belief isn't the truth, it's just a story, you can begin to let it go. Awakening to your truth also requires honesty. Be honest about what you want, even if it scares you. Be honest about what's not working, even if it's painful. And be honest about who you are, even if it means disappointing others. The more honest you become, the freer you feel. Finally, remember that this awakening is a journey. It's not something that happens overnight. You'll have moments of clarity and moments of confusion. You'll grow, then feel stuck, then grow again. That's part of the process. What matters is your willingness to keep showing up, to keep asking the hard questions, to keep moving closer to the person you were meant to be, not the person the world told you to be. Your truth is your foundation. Once you discover it and start living from it, every other part of your life becomes more meaningful and aligned. So, take this first step. Begin to awaken. Pay attention to your thoughts, your feelings, your desires. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start. Because once you awaken to your truth, the path to becoming your best self becomes clear. Chapter 2. Letting go of limitations. Once you start becoming aware of who you truly are, the next important step is learning to let go of what's holding you back. Every one of us carries some form of mental or emotional baggage. These are the limitations we've picked up over time: limiting beliefs, painful memories, negative self-talk, and fears. Many of these were not even chosen consciously. They were formed through past experiences, failure, rejection, criticism, or even things we heard as children that stuck with us. But here's the truth. You cannot move forward while being held back by the past. Letting go isn't easy. In fact, it's one of the most challenging parts of personal growth. Because we often become attached to our struggles. We hold on to our pain as part of our identity. We think, this is just who I am, or this is how life has always been for me. But the truth is that story isn't fixed. You can rewrite it. Start by identifying your inner limitations. Ask yourself, what beliefs do I have about myself that keep me stuck? Do I believe I'm not good enough? Do I fear failure so I avoid taking risks? Do I feel like I don't deserve success or happiness? These beliefs are not facts. They are old thoughts that have been repeated so often, They feel real. But once you become aware of them, you gain the power to challenge them. For example, if you believe, "I always mess things up," take a step back and ask, "Is that actually true? Or have I just made mistakes like every other human being?" Start replacing those old beliefs with more truthful ones like, "I've made mistakes, but I've learned and grown from them." Letting go also involves forgiving yourself and others. This may be one of the most difficult things you'll ever do, but it's also one of the most freeing. If you're holding on to guilt, shame, or resentment, it's like carrying a heavy backpack everywhere you go. It weighs you down and drains your energy. Forgiveness doesn't mean what happened was okay. It means you're choosing to no longer let it control you. Forgiving yourself allows you to move forward. You're not perfect, and you don't have to be. What matters is that you learn from your past and give yourself permission to evolve. Letting go also means giving up control over things you cannot change. Life doesn't always go according to plan. People may hurt you. Opportunities may pass. Unexpected events may shake your sense of security. But holding on to those things won't bring you peace. Instead, learn to accept what you can't change and shift your focus to what you can, your mindset, your choices, your actions, and your future. Sometimes, letting go also involves walking away from people or environments that no longer serve your growth. This doesn't mean cutting people off out of anger, it means setting healthy boundaries out of self-respect. Not everyone is meant to go with you on your journey. And that's okay. You are not here to stay small so that others feel comfortable. You are here to grow, to rise, to become more of who you are meant to be. Letting go clears the path. It creates space for new things to enter. New ideas, new habits, new opportunities, and new relationships. But as long as you're holding on to the old, you block the new from coming in. Think of it like cleaning a cluttered room. Once you remove the unnecessary stuff, you can breathe again. You can move freely. You feel lighter. The same thing happens in your mind and your life when you start letting go. So today, ask yourself honestly, what is one belief I need to let go of? What is one habit or fear that no longer serves me? What would my life feel like if I released that weight? You don't have to let go of everything at once. Start small. Let go of one thought, one pattern, one fear, and then another. With every step, you'll feel more freedom, more clarity, and more strength. Because your best self isn't buried in your past. It's waiting in your future. And you'll reach it when you stop holding on to what no longer belongs in your story. Chapter 3: Crafting a Vision. Once you've awakened to your truth and begun letting go of the beliefs, habits, and patterns that limit you, the next step in becoming your best self is to clearly define the future you want to create. You cannot hit a target you can't see. You can't become your best self without knowing what that looks like. This is where vision comes in. Having a personal vision means creating a clear mental picture of the kind of life you want to live and the kind of person you want to become. It gives your actions direction. It brings meaning to your goals. And most importantly, it helps you stay focused when life gets distracting or difficult. A strong vision acts like a compass. Even when the path feels uncertain, it points you back to what matters most. So let's begin with a simple question. What does your ideal life look like? Don't think just in terms of money or career. Think bigger. What kind of relationships do you want? How do you want to feel every morning when you wake up? What kind of person do you want to be in your family, your community, your work? How do you want to spend your time, your energy, your creativity? Close your eyes for a moment and imagine it in detail. Where are you living? What does your daily routine look like? How do people describe you when you're not around? What does success mean to you, not by society's standards, but by your own? Don't worry if this feels hard at first. Many people are so busy surviving or reacting to life that they've never really thought about what they want from it. If that's you, that's okay. You're starting now, and that's what counts. To make this vision real, you need to write it down. When you put your vision into words, it becomes more tangible. Write a paragraph that describes your ideal life in the present tense, as if it's already happening. For example, I wake up each day feeling energized and grateful. I spend my time doing meaningful work that helps others. I'm surrounded by people who inspire and support me. I take care of my health, my mind, and my relationships. This is not fantasy. This is a blueprint. It gives you something to move toward. Now, here's the next important part. Who do you need to become to live that life? Your future is not just about what you want to have. It's about who you want to be. If your vision includes being confident, generous, peaceful, or disciplined, then ask, what habits support that version of me? What thoughts do I need to change? What actions would that version of me take every day? This is where vision turns into growth. Because you start living as if you already are that person. You begin aligning your daily choices with the person you want to become. It's also important to keep your vision close. Write it somewhere you can see it. Read it every morning, even if it feels far away. Especially when it feels far away. Because your mind needs reminders of where you're going. Without that, it will focus on everything that's wrong or missing. Over time, your vision will evolve. That's normal. As you grow, your understanding of your purpose, your goals, and your priorities may change. But having a vision, even an imperfect one, is far better than walking through life without any direction. When you wake up with purpose, when you make choices that align with your vision, you start living more intentionally. You stop chasing what others tell you to want. You start building a life that feels right on the inside, not just impressive on the outside. And that's what becoming your best self is really about. So, if you haven't already, take some time today to create your vision. Not a to-do list or a 5-year plan, just a simple, honest picture of the life you want to live and the kind of person you want to be. Then begin living it, one small decision at a time. Because the future isn't waiting for you to be ready. It's waiting for you to begin. Chapter 4: Building Powerful Habits. Once you've created a vision for the life you want and the person you want to become, the next step is turning that vision into reality. And this is where many people struggle, not because they lack motivation, but because they lack the right systems. The truth is, your life is shaped by your habits. Not by your goals. Not by your dreams. But by the small things you do every single day. We often think that massive change requires massive effort. But real transformation happens slowly, quietly, through consistent action over time. It's not what you do once in a while that changes you. It's what you do consistently. If you want to become your best self, you must focus on building the right habits. Habits that reflect the person you want to be. Let's break this down. 1. Start with identity-based habits. Don't build habits based on what you want to achieve. Build them based on who you want to become. For example, instead of saying, I want to lose weight, shift to, I want to become a healthy person. Instead of saying, I want to write a book, say, I am a writer. Because when your habits are linked to your identity, you're more likely to stick with them. Every time you follow through on a habit, you cast a vote for the person you want to become. So ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be? What small daily habits would that version of me practice? This shift in thinking is powerful. It's no longer just about results, it's about transformation. 2. Make habits small and sustainable. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to change too much at once. They get excited, make a huge list, and try to overhaul their entire life in 1 week. It rarely works. Change that lasts starts small. If you want to read more, start with 1 page a day. If you want to eat healthier, add 1 vegetable to your lunch. If you want to meditate, begin with just 2 minutes. It might feel insignificant, but that's the point. Small habits are easier to stick with. And once they become part of your routine, you can build on them. Remember, consistency beats intensity. Doing a little every day is better than doing a lot once and then giving up. 3. Design your environment for success. Your environment plays a huge role in your behavior. If your phone is always within reach, you'll probably check it constantly. If your kitchen is full of junk food, healthy eating becomes harder. If you work in a cluttered, noisy space, staying focused feels like a battle. You can't rely on willpower forever. But you can design your environment to make good choices easier. Lay out your workout clothes the night before. Keep a book on your pillow so you're reminded to read. Remove distractions from your workspace. Set reminders and alarms to help you stay on track. The more you align your surroundings with your goals, the fewer decisions you'll need to make, and the more your habits will run on autopilot. 4. Track progress and celebrate small wins. When building new habits, it's important to measure your progress. Not to judge yourself, but to stay aware and motivated. You can use a simple calendar, habit tracker app, or journal. Mark an X every time you complete your habit for the day. Over time, those small marks build momentum. Also, don't forget to celebrate small wins. You don't have to wait until the final result to feel proud. Celebrate the fact that you showed up, that you tried, that you didn't quit. Progress may be slow, but every step forward is a step closer. 5. Be patient and kind to yourself. Building habits isn't a straight path. Some days you'll miss. Some days you'll feel tired. That's okay. What matters is that you don't give up. Missing one day doesn't break a habit. Giving up after one mistake does. So be patient with yourself. Real change takes time. Don't aim for perfection, aim for progress. When you fall off track, don't beat yourself up. Simply begin again. Every day is a new chance. Chapter 5. The Power of Mindset. If your habits are the actions that shape your life, your mindset is the lens through which you see that life. It determines how you interpret challenges, how you respond to failure, and how much you believe in your own potential. In simple words, your mindset is the story you tell yourself about what is possible for you. There are two types of mindsets people typically live by: a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Let's start with the fixed mindset. A person with a fixed mindset believes that their abilities, intelligence, or personality traits are unchangeable. They think they're either born talented or not, smart or not, capable or not, and that's just the way it is. So when they face difficulty or failure, they see it as proof that they're not good enough. They give up more easily. They avoid challenges. And they often stop growing because they believe they can't. Now, let's look at the growth mindset. Someone with a growth mindset believes they can develop skills over time. They understand that effort, practice, and learning lead to progress. When they face failure, they see it as feedback, not a reflection of their worth. They don't avoid challenges, they embrace them, because they know growth often comes from discomfort. This shift in mindset changes everything. Instead of saying, "I'm not good at this," someone with a growth mindset says, "I'm not good at this yet." Instead of, "I always fail," they say, "I'm learning from my mistakes." Instead of, "I can't," they ask, "How can I?" So ask yourself right now, what kind of mindset are you carrying? Do you shrink away from challenges, or do you see them as opportunities to grow? Do you beat yourself up for every mistake, or do you reflect and adjust? Do you focus more on your limitations or on your potential? Because your mindset has the power to shape your entire life experience. Even when things are tough, and they will be at times, your mindset is what determines whether you stay stuck or keep moving forward. Let's look at an example. Imagine two people facing the same setback, say, a job rejection. One says, "I knew I wasn't good enough. I'll never get hired." The other says, "Okay, that wasn't the right opportunity. What can I improve for next time?" Same situation, two completely different outcomes, simply because of mindset. And this doesn't just apply to work. It applies to your health, relationships, finances, confidence, everything. If you believe change is possible, you'll take action. If you don't, you'll stay where you are. That's why mindset isn't just positive thinking. It's about choosing a more empowered perspective. It means taking responsibility for your growth instead of blaming circumstances. It means seeing problems as puzzles to solve, not walls to block you. It means believing that you are not stuck. You are still becoming. Now here's the good news. Mindset is not permanent. You can change it. Start by observing your thoughts. When something goes wrong, what's your first reaction? When you feel afraid, what story do you tell yourself? Once you notice your patterns, you can begin to reframe them. Instead of, "I failed," say, "I tried and learned." Instead of, "I'm too old to change," say, "It's never too late to grow." Instead of, "This is too hard," say, "This is stretching me, and that's how I'll improve." Also, surround yourself with people who reinforce a growth mindset. Listen to stories of people who overcame obstacles. Read books, watch inspiring content, and engage in conversations that challenge and uplift you. Remember, your mindset is a choice. You may not be able to control everything that happens in life, but you can always control how you respond to it. And your response is what shapes your future. So, choose a mindset that moves you forward. Choose to believe in your ability to learn, to adapt, and to improve. Choose to see struggle as strength and progress. Choose to see yourself not as someone who has to be perfect, but as someone who is committed to becoming better. Because the truth is this: you are capable of far more than you know. And the moment you believe that, your entire life begins to change. Chapter 6: Connection and Community. Becoming your best self is often seen as a personal journey, and in many ways, it is. But that journey is not meant to be walked alone. You grow faster, deeper, and stronger when you're surrounded by the right people. The truth is, your environment shapes your mindset. The people you spend the most time with influence how you think, what you believe, and what you expect from yourself. Take a moment and think about your circle. Are you surrounded by people who uplift you or drain you? Do they challenge you to grow or hold you back with negativity? Do they believe in your dreams or make you feel like you're aiming too high? Whether you realize it or not, the voices around you often become the voice inside you. That's why choosing your community is a powerful step toward becoming your best self. You don't need a huge circle. You just need the right people, those who reflect your values, support your vision, and encourage your evolution. These are people who listen without judgment, speak truth even when it's uncomfortable, celebrate your growth, push you out of your comfort zone, remind you of your strength when you forget. And here's something even more important: you must also become that kind of person for others. It's not enough to seek support, you must offer it. Lift others as you rise. Be generous with your encouragement. Celebrate others' wins, even when you're still working on your own. Be the kind of friend, mentor, or partner you wish you had during your hardest times. Sometimes, connection means being vulnerable, opening up when you'd rather stay silent. It means sharing your truth instead of pretending everything's fine. Real connection doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from being honest. If you're struggling to find people like this, don't be discouraged. You're not alone. And you don't have to wait until the perfect people show up. Start by showing up for yourself. Start building communities, join groups, take classes, go to events, or even reach out to someone online whose values resonate with yours. You'd be surprised how many people are looking for the same kind of connection you are. Also, don't forget the power of boundaries. Sometimes, becoming your best self means stepping away from relationships that are toxic, manipulative, or draining. It's not about blame or anger, it's about protecting your peace. You don't have to keep people in your life just because of shared history. Shared direction matters more. You are allowed to grow beyond the version of yourself that others are comfortable with. And not everyone will understand your journey, and that's okay. You're not here to please everyone. You're here to live fully, truthfully, and with purpose. So, whether you're surrounded by a strong community or still building one, remember this: you are not alone in this journey. There are people out there who will support you, challenge you, and walk beside you. But you must be willing to reach out, to let people in, to offer and receive support. Your best self doesn't just grow in isolation. It blossoms in connection. In honest conversations, shared struggles, quiet encouragements, and mutual growth. Never underestimate the power of community. Because while the journey may start with you, it becomes so much richer when it includes others. Chapter 7: Embracing Failure, Celebrating Growth. Failure. It's a word that often brings up fear, shame, and discomfort. But what if you could look at failure differently, not as something to avoid, but as something to embrace? Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the process. It's not a sign that you're weak or unworthy. It's a sign that you're trying, stretching, growing. The truth is, every person who has ever done something meaningful has failed, many times. The people you admire, the ones you see as successful, didn't get where they are without facing rejection, embarrassment, and setbacks. The only difference is, they didn't stop. They understood that failure isn't a wall. It's a door. Let's be honest, nobody enjoys failing. It doesn't feel good when things don't go as planned, when we mess up, or when we fall short of our goals. But here's the shift in mindset: failure doesn't define you. How you respond to it does. When you try and fail, you've learned something valuable. You've gained experience, perspective, and clarity. You now know what doesn't work, which gets you one step closer to what does. So instead of asking, "What if I fail?" start asking, "What will I learn?" Think about a time in your life when something didn't go according to plan. Maybe it was a job interview, a relationship, a personal goal. Looking back now, can you see what that experience taught you? Can you see how it shaped your resilience or gave you insight you wouldn't have gained otherwise? Often, our biggest growth comes from our most difficult moments. And sometimes it's not just about learning. It's about building character. Every time you fall and get back up, you're becoming stronger, wiser, more determined. You're proving to yourself that you can handle discomfort and keep going. This is how you develop real confidence. Not by avoiding failure, but by surviving it. Here's something else to remember: you don't have to get everything right the first time. We put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect, to get it right quickly, to succeed fast. But that mindset is unrealistic and exhausting. Growth is not instant. It's a process. And the path to becoming your best self is filled with trial and error. It's messy. It's full of ups and downs. And that's exactly how it's supposed to be. If you never failed, you'd never stretch beyond your comfort zone. If you never made mistakes, you'd never learn what really works for you. So instead of hiding your failures, celebrate your efforts. Celebrate the fact that you showed up, that you risked something, that you dared to try. Even when things didn't go your way, you were in motion, and motion is better than staying stuck in fear. Start seeing failure as data. Fuel for growth. What did I learn about myself through this experience? What can I do differently next time? How can I use this moment to grow stronger? And most importantly, don't let failure make you forget how far you've come. Sometimes we're so focused on what we haven't achieved yet that we forget to acknowledge all the progress we've already made. Think back to where you were a year ago, or even a few months ago. Are you more self-aware? More courageous? More intentional? That's growth. And it deserves to be celebrated. You don't need a perfect record to be proud of yourself. You just need to keep showing up. Keep trying. Keep learning. Keep rising. Because failure is not the end. It's not a sign to stop. It's a step forward, if you choose to see it that way. So the next time you stumble, don't shrink. Don't retreat. Stand up. Reflect. Adjust. And keep going. Your best self isn't the one who never falls. It's the one who falls and keeps rising again and again. Chapter 9. Practicing Self-Compassion. Becoming your best self isn't just about pushing harder, doing more, or striving for excellence. Sometimes, the most powerful growth comes from learning how to be kind to yourself, especially when you're struggling. This is where self-compassion becomes essential. Many people are quick to show kindness to others, but harsh with themselves. They speak gently to friends going through hard times, but criticize their own mistakes. They offer patience to others, but expect perfection from themselves. Here's the truth. You can't grow through constant self-judgment. You grow when you feel safe, safe to fail, to learn, to be imperfect. And that safety starts with how you treat yourself. Self-compassion means treating yourself like you would treat a close friend. It means offering understanding when you fall short. It means recognizing that struggle is part of being human, not a personal failure. Let's break it down. Self-compassion has 3 main parts. 1. Mindfulness. This means noticing when you're suffering, instead of ignoring it or pushing it away. It means pausing long enough to say, "This is hard right now." Mindfulness helps you face your pain without exaggerating it or minimizing it. 2. Self-kindness. This is about speaking to yourself with warmth rather than criticism. Instead of saying, "What's wrong with me?" you ask, "How can I support myself through this?" You give yourself encouragement, not punishment. 3. Common humanity. This means remembering that you're not alone. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has flaws. Everyone struggles. You're not broken. You're human. These 3 things, awareness, kindness, and shared humanity, create a powerful foundation for healing and growth. And here's something important. Self-compassion is not weakness. It's not self-pity, laziness, or an excuse to avoid responsibility. In fact, research shows that people who practice self-compassion are more motivated, more resilient, and more willing to take risks. Because they know that failing doesn't make them unworthy, it makes them real. When you're compassionate with yourself, you create an inner environment where growth is possible. So, how can you begin? Start by noticing your inner voice. When you make a mistake, what do you say to yourself? Do you shame yourself? Do you call yourself names? Would you speak that way to someone you love? If the answer is no, then it's time to change the conversation. Practice replacing harsh thoughts with kind, encouraging ones. For example, instead of, "I'm such a failure," say, "I'm struggling but I'm learning." Instead of, "I should be better by now," say, "Growth takes time, and I'm making progress." Instead of, "I always mess things up," say, "Everyone makes mistakes. I can try again." At first, this may feel unnatural, especially if you've been self-critical for years. But like any skill, self-compassion grows with practice. You can also try simple daily rituals. Start or end your day with a few kind words to yourself. Write a letter to yourself when you're feeling down, as if writing to a friend. Put reminders around your space that say things like, "It's okay to rest," or "You're doing your best." And when you're going through a tough time, try placing your hand over your heart, closing your eyes, and saying, "This is hard. I'm doing my best. I choose to be kind to myself right now." These small moments add up. They soften the edges of your inner world. They create space for healing. And as you learn to be more compassionate with yourself, something beautiful happens. You also become more compassionate with others. You stop expecting perfection. You stop judging people for their struggles. You begin to connect more deeply with yourself and with those around you. Because in the end, becoming your best self isn't about being flawless. It's about being whole. And self-compassion is what makes that wholeness possible. Chapter 10. Becoming your best self every day. You've now walked through the core ideas that shape personal transformation: self-awareness, letting go, vision, habits, mindset, connection, purpose, and compassion. But here's the most important truth to remember. Becoming your best self isn't a destination. It's a daily decision. It's not about arriving at some perfect version of you. It's about showing up again and again as the person you want to be, even when it's hard. It's about living intentionally instead of drifting through life on autopilot. So let's make it practical. What does becoming your best self look like in everyday life? It looks like waking up with purpose, even on days you feel tired. Choosing growth over comfort, even in small ways. Speaking kindly to yourself, even when you fall short. Taking one small action toward your goals, even when you're unsure. Surrounding yourself with people who reflect your values. Setting boundaries that protect your peace. Listening to your inner voice, even when it whispers. Pausing to reflect before reacting. Being present for the little things. A walk, a smile, a breath. It's in the tiny choices. The silent wins. The quiet discipline. Your best self doesn't only show up during big moments. It lives in how you treat yourself when no one is watching. It lives in the way you keep going when no one is cheering. It lives in how you bounce back when things don't go your way. And some days, you won't feel your best. You'll get frustrated. You'll get discouraged. You'll slip into old patterns. That's okay. Your best self is not about being perfect. It's about being committed. You can begin again, every day, every hour, even in this moment. The journey is lifelong. You will never be finished. And that's not something to fear, that's something to celebrate. Because it means you always have room to grow, to learn something new, to start fresh, to go deeper. So how do you stay on this path long after the inspiration fades? Here are a few final reminders. 1. Check in with yourself regularly. Ask, am I living in alignment with my values? Am I making choices that reflect the person I want to become? 2. Create daily rituals that ground you. Maybe it's journaling, meditation, a morning walk, or setting intentions. These small habits act as anchors. They bring you back to center. 3. Be flexible. Life will change and so will you. Your goals, priorities, and vision may evolve. That's growth. Adjust your direction, but stay true to your core. 4. Celebrate small progress. You don't need to wait for big milestones. Every step forward is worth noticing. Every moment of courage, kindness, discipline, or truth matters. 5. Keep learning. Listen. Reflect. Surround yourself with wisdom. Never stop being a student of life. And finally, trust yourself. You are more capable, more resilient, and more powerful than you've been taught to believe. You don't need to become someone else. You need to return to the best version of who you already are. You are not here just to exist. You are here to live deeply, to love fully, to rise after falling, to grow through everything, to leave the world a little better because you were in it. So, take a breath. Step forward, not in fear but in faith. Because the best version of you is not out of reach. It's built, moment by moment, choice by choice, day by day. And that journey begins now. Chapter 11. The Power of Focus in a Distracted World. In today's world, attention is currency. Every app, every platform, every notification wants a piece of your mind. And slowly, without even realizing it, you lose something vital. Your ability to focus. But here's the truth. You cannot become your best self if your focus is scattered. You cannot grow, build, or create anything meaningful if your mind is constantly pulled in 100 directions. Focus is your superpower. Not talent. Not speed. Not even motivation. The person who learns to master their attention. Who knows how to quiet the noise, resist distractions, and stay present. That person gains a powerful edge in life. Focus creates depth. When you are focused, you move from shallow effort to deep impact. You're no longer just reacting. You're choosing. You can hear your own thoughts. You can access clarity. You can get real work done. Focus allows you to go deeper, into your goals, your relationships, yourself. But without focus, you may feel busy but never fulfilled. You may do many things, but rarely finish anything. You may start the day with intention, and end it feeling scattered. That's not failure. It's the result of a world designed to steal your attention. So now let's take it back. Where does your attention go? Let's begin with a simple but powerful question. Where is your attention going every day? Not what your goals are. Not what's on your calendar. But what actually pulls your mind. Check your phone usage. Your scrolling habits. How many times a day are you pulled into distraction, emails, texts, social media, breaking news? You don't have to feel ashamed. We've all been there. But awareness is the first step to reclaiming your power. Protecting your focus. Here are 5 practical ways to build focus into your life. 1. Start the day without your phone. How you start your day shapes your mental energy. Don't let the world's noise be the first thing you consume. Instead, begin with silence, movement, journaling, or intention setting, even if it's just 10 minutes. 2. Practice single tasking. Multitasking is a myth. Your brain switches rapidly between tasks, and it costs you energy, accuracy, and depth. Choose one task. Give it your full presence. Finish it. Then move on. 3. Create no distraction blocks. Set boundaries around deep work. Turn off notifications. Use tools like focus timers. Even 25 to 30 minutes of pure focus can achieve more than hours of half-distracted effort. 4. Declutter your mind and space. Mental clutter and physical clutter feed each other. Create clean workspaces. Write down your thoughts instead of carrying them in your head. Focus thrives in clarity. 5. Ask, is this worth my energy? Before you engage with a task, a conversation, or a piece of content, pause and ask, is this helping me grow? Or is it just noise? Not everything deserves your attention. Choose wisely. What you focus on expands. There's another side to focus. It's not just about productivity. It's about intention. Because what you focus on grows. Focus on negativity, and it multiplies. Focus on gratitude, and it deepens. Focus on what matters to you, and it begins to flourish. So take back your focus from the meaningless and give it to the meaningful. Focus on your well-being, your goals, your relationships, your inner peace, your growth, and give yourself permission to disconnect from anything that doesn't serve that path. Chapter 12: Courage over Comfort. Every meaningful transformation in life begins with a moment of courage. Not the loud, dramatic kind of courage we see in movies, but the quiet, steady courage it takes to speak your truth, set a boundary, start again, walk away, or face something you've been avoiding. This kind of courage doesn't shout. It whispers. And still, it changes everything. Because growth never happens in your comfort zone. And your best self? It lives just beyond it. The pull of comfort. We all crave safety. It's human. Our brains are wired to protect us from risk, pain, and discomfort. So what do? We stay in familiar routines. We hold on to relationships that don't serve us. We delay decisions. We hide behind later, someday, and when I'm ready. And we call it being realistic. But deep down you feel it. You know you're made for more. And that more doesn't come wrapped in comfort. It comes through courage. What is courage really? Courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is the decision to move forward, despite fear. It's not about being fearless. It's about being willing. Willing to fail. Willing to be seen. Willing to be uncomfortable, if it means growing, healing, and becoming who you were meant to be. Small acts of everyday bravery. Courage doesn't have to be dramatic. Sometimes it looks like asking for help when you're used to doing it alone. Saying no when you've always said yes. Leaving when it's easier to stay. Starting something new, even if you don't feel ready. Choosing peace over proving a point. Telling the truth even when your voice shakes. These are quiet acts of power. These are the choices that build the life you want. One brave moment at a time. The comfort trap. Staying comfortable may feel safe in the short term. But in the long term, it costs you. It costs you progress. It costs you growth. It costs you the life that was meant for you. The comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. If you want to grow, you have to stretch. If you want to rise, you have to risk. That means facing the unknown. That means stepping into situations where you don't have all the answers. That means embracing temporary discomfort for long-term strength. The growth curve. Here's what happens when you choose courage. First, it feels uncomfortable. You doubt yourself. You want to turn back. Then, it feels uncertain. You don't know if it's working. Growth is invisible at first, but soon you feel it. A shift. A new confidence. The old you feels distant. Eventually, courage becomes your new normal. What once scared you now feels like a part of you. This is the growth curve. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. Ask yourself, right now, what area of your life is asking for courage? A decision you've been putting off? A conversation you're afraid to have? A risk you know you need to take? What's the cost of staying comfortable? And what might be possible if you chose courage instead? Let yourself imagine it. Let yourself lean into that vision. And when you feel ready, take one small step. You don't need to leap. You just need to move. Chapter 13: Designing a Life of Balance and Joy. As you pursue growth, transformation, and success, it's easy to fall into the trap of constant doing. Striving, hustling, achieving, checking boxes, climbing ladders. But there's something just as important, often more difficult to master, than discipline or ambition. It's balance. And more than that, it's joy. Because a truly successful life isn't one where you're only productive. It's one where you feel fulfilled. Where you experience lightness and laughter, peace and presence, not just pressure. So in this chapter, we're not talking about doing more. We're talking about doing what truly matters, and feeling alive while you do it. The myth of having it all. Modern life often teaches us that to be our best, we must do everything. Be productive. Be perfect. Be available. Be successful. Be strong. Be fast. But here's the truth. You can't do it all the time and still feel well. A full calendar doesn't equal a full life. Being busy doesn't mean you're growing. Doing more doesn't mean you're becoming more. If you're constantly exhausted, overwhelmed, or disconnected from what matters, then it's time to redesign your life. Not from pressure, but from presence. What does a balanced life look like? Balance isn't about equal hours. It's about intentional energy. It's knowing what to give your best to and what to let go. It's making space for rest without guilt, play without purpose, connection without distraction, growth without burnout. Balance isn't perfect. It's personal. It looks different for everyone. And it changes depending on your season of life. The question is, does your life feel aligned with what matters most to you? If the answer is no, it's not failure. It's a signal. A chance to pause and realign. The power of joy. Let's go even deeper. Joy isn't something you earn after reaching your goals. It's something you practice along the way. Joy isn't the reward, it's the fuel. When you include joy in your journey, you actually grow faster, not slower. You become more creative, more open, more connected to your purpose. Joy makes the hard days lighter. Joy keeps you rooted in the present, instead of always chasing the future. So ask yourself, when was the last time you laughed deeply? When was the last time you played without a reason? When was the last time you felt simple delight, just from being alive? These moments matter. They restore you. They remind you that life is more than productivity. It's about presence. Creating rhythms, not routines. You don't need a rigid routine to feel balanced. What you need are rhythms, flexible, life-giving practices that support your energy and well-being. Here are a few examples. Morning intention rituals start with gratitude, stillness, or reflection. Tech-free evenings. Create time to be truly present with people you love. Scheduled joy. Plan time for what brings you happiness, just like you plan meetings. Monthly reflection. Ask, what's working? What needs adjusting? Where do I need more rest, more joy, or more focus? These rhythms create space. And in that space, you reconnect with yourself. Let go to feel lighter. Sometimes balance isn't about adding more. It's about letting go. Let go of what no longer serves you. Outdated goals, draining habits, unspoken obligations, expectations that were never truly yours. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means making room for what really matters. Your life doesn't need to be filled. It needs to feel aligned. Final thoughts. You're not here just to perform. You're here to experience, to grow, but also to rest, to create, but also to enjoy, to become, but also to be. Don't wait until you arrive to feel peace. Build a life that feels peaceful now. Don't postpone joy. Make it part of your journey. Because your best self isn't just someone who achieves. Your best self feels deeply, lives fully, and knows how to carry both discipline and delight together. Balance is not a finish line. It's a practice. And joy is not a luxury. It's a part of who you are meant to be. Chapter 14. Building Emotional Resilience. Life will challenge you. That's not a possibility, it's a guarantee. Plans will fall apart. People will disappoint you. Things won't always go the way you hoped. But in those moments, the question is not, will things get easier? The question is, will I become stronger? That strength, the ability to stay grounded, to bend but not break, to feel without falling apart. That's called emotional resilience. And it is one of the most powerful qualities of your best self. What is emotional resilience? Emotional resilience is not about pretending to be okay. It's not about suppressing emotions, forcing positivity, or toughing it out. It's about staying centered during difficulty. It's the ability to feel your emotions without being controlled by them. To move through stress, setbacks, and pain without losing your clarity or your core. It doesn't mean you don't feel sadness, frustration, or fear. It means you know how to respond, not just react. And that makes all the difference. Why resilience matters. Resilience isn't just for crisis moments. It's for daily life. It helps you keep going when things don't go as planned. Communicate calmly during conflict. Bounce back from failure. Navigate uncertainty without shutting down. Stay connected to your goals, even when emotions run high. Resilience doesn't make you emotionless. It makes you emotionally intelligent. And that's a skill that elevates every area of your life: relationships, work, health, and self-worth. Resilient people do these 5 things. Here are 5 things emotionally resilient people consistently practice. 1. They name their emotions. Instead of saying, "I'm fine," when they're not, they pause and ask, "What am I really feeling right now? Sadness? Anger? Disappointment? Fear?" Naming your emotion is the first step to managing it. Because what you can name, you can navigate. 2. They create space between trigger and response. When something upsetting happens, they don't instantly react. They breathe. They reflect. They ask, "What outcome do I want?" instead of fueling the emotion. This space between stimulus and response is where your power lives. 3. They care for themselves during stress. Resilient people don't push themselves to burnout. They know when to rest, when to ask for help, when to say no. Self-care is not a weakness. It's a form of emotional stability. For they learn from the hard times. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "What can I learn from this?" Resilient people turn pain into purpose. They don't just survive difficult seasons, they grow through them. 5. They stay connected to hope. Resilience isn't blind optimism. It's the grounded belief that even in pain, something good can still come. It's trusting that healing is possible even if it takes time. Building your resilience muscle. Resilience is not something you're born with. It's built. Here are a few ways to build yours every day. Practice emotional awareness. Don't ignore what you feel. Get curious about it. Start small. Choose to respond calmly in minor situations. It builds strength for bigger ones. Reflect often. Ask yourself what you've overcome. That history reminds you how capable you are. Train your mind. Journaling, meditation, deep breathing. These help calm emotional storms. Talk it out. Don't carry it alone. Conversations can release tension and bring perspective. And most of all, be kind to yourself during hard times. You don't need to get over it quickly. You don't need to stay strong for others. You just need to stay present and keep moving forward, one breath, one step at a time. Chapter 15. The Discipline of Consistency. If there's one trait that separates those who only dream from those who actually grow, it's not intelligence, talent, or luck. It's consistency. Not flashy bursts of effort, not sudden motivation, but quiet, steady action over time. Your best self is not created in a single breakthrough. It's shaped by the small, repeated choices you make every day. Consistency, intensity. We live in a culture that celebrates intensity. The overnight success, the viral moment, the dramatic transformation. But real change? It happens through discipline, not drama. You don't need to be extreme. You need to be consistent. Not 3 hours in the gym one day, but 30 minutes daily. Not writing a book in a week, but writing 1 page every day. Not meditating for an hour once a month, but 5 minutes each morning. Small actions, done regularly. That's what builds mastery, momentum, and deep confidence. Why is consistency so hard? Consistency sounds simple, but it's not always easy. Here's why we often struggle. We expect quick results. We get bored with the routine. We doubt ourselves when progress feels slow. We get distracted by comparison or new ideas. We let our emotions decide our actions. But here's the truth. Your emotions may change. Your motivation may fade. But your commitment must remain. Because feelings are fleeting. But habits? Habits create results. Discipline is a form of self-respect. When you stay consistent, even when it's hard, even when no one sees you, even when it's inconvenient, you send a message to yourself. I matter. My goals matter. My future matters. That builds trust. And self-trust is the foundation of self-worth. Keys to staying consistent. Let's talk about how to actually stay consistent in your real, busy life. 1. Lower the barrier to action. Don't wait until conditions are perfect. Make it so easy to start that there's no excuse. Instead of saying, "I'll work out for an hour," say, "I'll do 10 push-ups." Instead of, I'll write a chapter, say, I'll write one paragraph. Instead of, I'll meditate deeply, say, I'll sit in silence for 3 minutes. Momentum beats motivation. 2. Track your progress. What gets tracked, gets done. Use a simple habit tracker, calendar, or journal. Check things off. Reflect weekly. Visual progress builds emotional motivation. 3. Detach from immediate results. Don't look for instant gratification. Think long-term. Ask yourself, if I keep doing this for 6 months, what will my life look like? Consistency isn't about today's results. It's about tomorrow's freedom. 4. Expect resistance. Some days will be hard. You'll want to skip, quit, or delay. Don't take it personally. Don't panic. That resistance is part of the process. The key is to keep going, even imperfectly. Progress over perfection. 5. Reward the identity, not just the outcome. You're not just building habits. You're building identity. Each time you show up, say, I am someone who takes care of my body. I am someone who keeps promises to myself. I am someone who doesn't give up easily. That identity will carry you further than any checklist. Consistency compounds. Imagine if you gave just 1% more effort each day. One tiny improvement, repeated. After a week, you may not notice much. After a month, you'll feel the shift. After a year, your entire life will be different. That's the power of consistency. It doesn't add up. It multiplies. Chapter 16. From Comparison to Confidence. At some point, we all do it. We scroll. We look. We wonder, why am I not there yet? Why does their life seem so much better than mine? What am I missing? And just like that, you shrink. Your progress feels small. Your path feels slow. Your light feels dim. This is the trap of comparison. It's silent, it's subtle, and it's everywhere. But it's also a thief of joy, clarity, and self-worth. If you want to become your best self, you must learn how to let go of comparison and grow into confidence, the kind that's rooted in your own life, your own values, and your own timing. Why comparison is so dangerous? Comparison seems harmless at first, but over time, it creates real damage. It steals your gratitude. It fuels your insecurities. It distracts you from your purpose. It makes you chase someone else's dream instead of honoring your own. You begin to measure your self-worth based on someone else's highlight reel. And slowly, you stop seeing yourself clearly. But here's what's true. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not missing anything. You are on your path. And it's not supposed to look like anyone else's. The illusion of perfection. When you compare, you're usually comparing your behind the scenes with someone else's best moments. Their success story? You didn't see the years of failure. Their relationship? You don't see the private struggles. Their lifestyle? You don't know the debt, pressure, or burnout behind it. No one has it all together. Not really. What you're comparing yourself to is an illusion. And you deserve better than that. How to break free from comparison. You don't have to stay stuck in this cycle. Here's how to shift from comparison to confidence. 1. Unfollow to stay focused. If certain people or pages constantly trigger comparison, mute them, unfollow them, or take a break. Your peace matters more than their content. Create a digital space that inspires you, not one that makes you question your worth. 2. Celebrate instead of compete. When someone else succeeds, let it expand you, not threaten you. Their win doesn't mean your loss. Their light doesn't dim yours. In fact, when you celebrate others genuinely, you train your brain to believe that success is abundant and available to you too. 3. Come back to your values. Ask yourself, what truly matters to me? What kind of life do I want to build? What does success look like for me, not for others? When you live from your values, you stop chasing validation. You stop needing permission. You begin to build a life that feels good on the inside, not just looks good on the outside. 4. Measure backward, not sideways. Don't measure your progress by someone else's pace. Measure it by your own. Look back. Where were you 6 months ago? A year ago? 5 years ago? You'll see just how far you've come. You'll realize you've been growing all along. That's confidence, recognizing your own evolution. 5. Affirm your uniqueness. You were not meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out, in your voice, your journey, your gifts. Say it aloud. I am enough. I am on time. My journey is unfolding exactly as it should. When you truly believe that, you stop needing to compare. You start to lead from within. Chapter 17. Becoming a leader of your life. You've come a long way. You've explored who you are, what holds you back, what moves you forward. You've faced inner doubts, reconnected with your values, and learned how to create lasting change from the inside out. But now, we take it one step further. Because the journey of becoming your best self doesn't end with reflection or even transformation. It leads you to something even greater, personal leadership. It means you stop waiting for permission. You stop blaming your circumstances. You stop playing small. You step into full ownership of your time, your thoughts, your actions, your life. You stop asking, who will lead me? And you start saying, I will lead myself. What does it mean to lead your life? It doesn't mean you have to be a CEO or a public figure. It means you treat your life as something sacred, something you are responsible for shaping. Personal leadership is not about power over others. It's about power within. When you lead your life, you stop drifting. You stop reacting. You start choosing, with intention, clarity, and courage. You show up for your goals. You set boundaries around your time. You take responsibility for your emotional state. You guide your mindset, instead of letting it be hijacked by fear, comparison, or doubt. This is what separates the average from the exceptional. They lead themselves, first. The qualities of a life leader. You already have the potential. Now, it's about nurturing the traits that bring it to life. Here are the qualities of someone who leads their life with integrity and strength. 1. Clarity. They know what they value. They make decisions based on purpose, not pressure. They ask, what kind of life do I want to build? And they build it. 2. Discipline. They don't wait for motivation. They show up. They know that small, consistent effort beats occasional bursts of inspiration. 3. Responsibility. They own their results, good or bad. They don't blame, complain, or play the victim. They ask, what's within my control? And focus there. 4. Emotional intelligence. They don't let emotions lead them off course. They feel deeply, reflect honestly, and respond wisely. 5. Adaptability. They don't fear change. They pivot when needed. They grow through what they go through. 6. Vision. They see beyond today. They make decisions not just for now, but for who they are becoming. Leadership is a practice. No one is born with all of these traits. They're developed, just like muscles. You practice them in the way you talk to yourself, in how you use your time, in what you say yes to and what you say no to. And over time, you become the kind of person others look up to, not because of your title or status, but because of your character, your presence, your grounded power. Start leading now. You don't have to wait to feel ready. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need permission. All you need is to begin, right here, right now. Ask yourself, what would the leader version of me do today? How would they think, speak, and act? What would they prioritize? What would they let go of? Then take one small step in that direction, and keep stepping, every day. Because leadership isn't something you step into later. It's something you choose, now. The journey to your best self ends where it began, with you. You are the author. You are the architect. You are the one who decides. Lead your life with intention. Move through the world with integrity. Hold yourself with compassion, and walk forward with courage. Because you already have what it takes. And the world doesn't just need more followers. It needs people who lead their lives with truth, heart, and strength. That person is you. So take the lead. And let the rest of your life reflect the very best of you.
दिल सैयारा ढूंढ रहा है।
कुछ साथ बिताए खूबसूरत लम्हे, वो हाथों में हाथ वाले लम्हे। कुछ लम्हे किसी मिरेकल से कम नहीं होते, और ऐसे ही लम्हों के लिए आई एम ऑलवेज फोटो रेडी विथ पॉन्ड्स सुपर लाइट जेल। इसका जेल टेक्सचर बनाए मेरी स्किन को सॉफ्ट और मुझे दे वाटर फ्रेश ग्लो। नाउ आई कैन गो एंड मेक मिरेकल्स हैपन। वॉट सैयारा इन थिएटर्स ऑन जुलाई 18th।
पाउडर के दाम पे पाउच, पाउडर के दाम पे लिक्विड पाउच। सर्फ एक्सेलमैटिक 1 लीटर लिक्विड पाउच पाउडर के दाम पे सिर्फ 149 रुपए में।
The Power of Now. Part 1. Accessing the Power of Now. There's a life force that runs deeper than all things we see, beyond birth, beyond death. Some call it God, but I prefer the word being. It is not a concept that the mind can wrap itself around easily. It doesn't reduce the infinite to something finite. Being simply it is the eternal presence that exists both around us and within us. You can't visualize it, own it, or name it, but you can feel it. You know it when you become still enough to notice the aliveness of your own presence. That quiet awareness that is being. Being isn't some distant force separate from you. It's within you, your innermost essence. But here's the key. You won't find it by thinking about it. The mind can never fully grasp being.
खड़ा हो सकता है। आज मैं आपको बताऊंगी नाइकी के जन्म की कहानी। यह कहानी है फिल नाइट की, जिसने अपने जुनून और जीत से असंभव को संभव कर दिखाया। तो चलिए शुरू करते हैं। फिल नाइट का जन्म 1938 में पोर्टलैंड, ओरेगन में हुआ था। बचपन से ही उन्हें दौड़ने का शौक था। हाई स्कूल में उन्होंने रनिंग टीम ज्वाइन की और रनिंग की प्रैक्टिस की, लेकिन उन्हें हमेशा लगता था कि उनके शूज उन्हें रोक रहे हैं। उस समय के शूज भारी और अनकंफर्टेबल होते थे। फिल अक्सर सोचते थे कि बेहतर रनिंग शूज क्यों नहीं बनाए जा सकते। फिल ने अपनी ग्रेजुएशन के लिए यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ ओरेगन में प्रवेश लिया। वहां वे ट्रैक टीम के स्टार प्लेयर बन गए। उनके कोच बिल बावरमैन थे, जिनकी रुचि बेहतर रनिंग शूज डिजाइन करने में थी। बावरमैन रोजाना नए मटेरियल, सोल और टेक्निक का इस्तेमाल करके शूज डिजाइन करते और फिल और बाकी एथलीट्स पर उनका परीक्षण करते। इस दौरान फिल के मन में विचार उठा, क्या हम दुनिया के सबसे अच्छे शूज बना सकते हैं जो हल्के और पावरफुल हों? फिल ने स्टैनफोर्ड से एमबीए किया। वहां उन्होंने एक रिसर्च पेपर लिखा जिसमें बताया कि जापान से सस्ते और हाई क्वालिटी के शूज इंपोर्ट करके यूएस मार्केट में सफलतापूर्वक कैसे बेचा जा सकता है। मास्टर्स पूरा करने के बाद फिल जापान गए। वहां फिल ने ओनिक्सुता टाइगर नाम की कंपनी देखी, जो हल्के और हाई क्वालिटी रनिंग शूज बनाती थी। फिल को ओनिक्सुता के शूज इतने पसंद आए कि उन्होंने सोचा, क्यों न इन्हें अमेरिका में बेचा जाए। फिल को एक अनोखा विचार आया। उन्होंने खुद को ब्लू रिबन स्पोर्ट्स का मालिक बताते हुए ओनिक्सुता टाइगर के साथ मीटिंग तय कर ली। असल में ब्लू रिबन स्पोर्ट्स नाम की कोई कंपनी थी ही नहीं। पूरे कॉन्फिडेंस के साथ फिल ओनिक्सुता के ऑफिस में एंटर हुए और बोले, मैं आपके शूज अमेरिका में बेचना चाहता हूँ। मीटिंग के दौरान उन्होंने वही प्रेजेंटेशन दिया जो उन्होंने स्टैनफोर्ड में तैयार किया था। इसका नतीजा यह हुआ कि ओनिक्सुता टाइगर फिल के साथ पार्टनरशिप करने को तैयार हो गई। अब क्या था, फिल ने $50 का अपना पहला ऑर्डर तुरंत दे दिया। फिल के पास कोई दुकान नहीं थी, इसलिए उन्होंने अपनी कार की डिक्की में शूज रखकर बेचना शुरू किया। हर सुबह वह कार की डिक्की में शूज रखते और एक ट्रैक से दूसरे ट्रैक पर जाते। वहां वह एथलीट्स को शूज दिखाते, उन्हें ट्राई करने को कहते। जल्द ही यह बात फैल गई और एथलीट्स अमेरिकन ब्रांड्स के बजाय ओनिक्सुता के शूज पहनना पसंद करने लगे। फिल का सेल तेजी से बढ़ने लगा, पर जल्द ही उनके सामने इन्वेंट्री का चैलेंज खड़ा हो गया। ओनिक्सुता की पॉलिसी थी कि वे केवल एडवांस पेमेंट के बाद ही शिपमेंट भेजते थे। डिमांड बढ़ने के कारण उन्हें ज़्यादा शूज़ का ऑर्डर देना था, पर फिल के पास ज़्यादा शूज़ ऑर्डर करने के लिए पैसे नहीं थे। फिल ने बैंक से लोन लेने की कोशिश की, पर जब फिल बैंक को बताते कि वे जापान के शूज़ अमेरिका में बेचते हैं, तो बैंक उन्हें लोन देने से मना कर देती। कई रिजेक्शंस के बाद एक छोटी बैंक लोन देने को तैयार हो गई। लोन ज्यादा बड़ा तो नहीं था, पर ब्लू रिबन को चलाने के लिए काफी था। फिल को अब लगा कि वह अकेले सब काम नहीं संभाल सकते। तब उन्होंने अपना पहला एम्प्लॉय जेफ जॉनसन को हायर किया। जेफ को भी फिल की तरह रनिंग और शूज का शौक था। सेल बढ़ाने के लिए जेफ ने दिन रात कड़ी मेहनत की और जल्दी ही फिल ने अपना पहला ऑफिशियल शू स्टोर खोल दिया। सब कुछ ठीक चल रहा था, पर फिर एक दिन जापान से फोन आया। ओनिक्सुता ने फिल के साथ पार्टनरशिप खत्म करने का फैसला ले लिया था। फिल हैरान रह गए। उनकी सेल अच्छी हो रही थी, तो फिर ऐसा क्यों? बाद में पता चला कि ओनिक्सुता ने अमेरिका के लिए एक नया डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर ढूंढ लिया है। तब फिल ने अपनी लाइफ का सबसे बड़ा डिसीजन लिया। वह अपनी खुद की शू कंपनी बनाएंगे। लेकिन समस्या यह थी कि उनके पास ना तो कोई फैक्ट्री थी, ना ही मैन्युफैक्चरर और ना ही पैसे। उन्होंने अपनी टीम को इकट्ठा किया और कहा कि हम अपनी कंपनी शुरू करने वाले हैं। अब सवाल आया कि कंपनी का नाम क्या रखें। उन्होंने कई सारे नाम सोचे, पर कुछ भी फाइनल नहीं हुआ। फिर एक रात जेफ को सपने में ग्रीक गॉडेस ऑफ विक्ट्री नाइकी दिखी। जेफ ने तुरंत फिल को सपने के बारे में बताया और उसी समय उन्होंने कंपनी का नाम नाइकी रखने का फैसला किया। इस तरह से नाइकी का जन्म हुआ। नाम तो मिल गया था, अब उन्हें लोगो चाहिए था। उन्होंने एक ग्राफिक डिजाइनर स्टूडेंट को लोगो बनाने का काम दिया। लोगो ऐसा चाहिए था जो पावरफुल हो और आसानी से शूज पर प्रिंट हो जाए। उसने एक सिंपल कर्व चेक मार्क डिजाइन किया जो मूवमेंट, स्पीड और विक्ट्री को दर्शाता था। अब फिल के पास कंपनी का नाम था, लोगो था, पर शूज नहीं थे। फिल ओनिक्सुता टाइगर से बेहतर शूज बनाना चाहते थे। फिल ने अपने कोच बिल बावरमैन को कांटेक्ट किया। बावरमैन फिल के साथ बिजनेस ज्वाइन करने के लिए तैयार हो गए। एक दिन ब्रेकफास्ट करते हुए बावरमैन को आइडिया आया, क्यों ना वफल पैटर्न के सोल बनाए जाएं। बावरमैन उसी समय वर्कशॉप गए, वफल आयन में रबर डाला और वफल सोल बनाकर तैयार कर दिया। वफल सोल से जो शू बने वह लाइट, फास्ट और बेहतर ग्रिप वाले थे। नाइकी के वफल सोल वाले शूज की सेल बढ़ने लगी। जब सब सही चल रहा था, तब ओनिक्सुता ने नाइकी पर केस फाइल कर दिया, यह कहते हुए कि नाइकी ने उनके डिजाइन चुराए हैं। फिल बहुत परेशान हो गए। कोर्ट केस काफी दिनों तक चला। जब फिल को लगा कि सब खत्म होने वाला है, तभी एक चमत्कार हुआ। कोर्ट को कुछ ऐसे पेपर्स मिल गए जिसने यह साबित कर दिया कि ओनिक्सुता ने नाइकी को बर्बाद करने के लिए झूठा केस फाइल किया था। आखिरकार फिल केस जीत गए। नाइकी अभी एक छोटी कंपनी थी। उनके पास मार्केटिंग के लिए ज़्यादा बजट नहीं था। उन्होंने एक क्रिएटिव आइडिया सोचा। एडवर्टाइजमेंट करने के बजाय वे सीधे एथलीट्स के पास गए। एथलीट्स को मुफ्त नाइकी शूज़ दिए और रेस में पहनने को कहा। यह आइडिया क्लिक कर गया। एथलीट्स, बास्केटबॉल प्लेयर्स, कोच सबने नाइकी शूज़ यूज़ करना शुरू कर दिया और बस यहीं से नाइकी की टॉप स्पोर्ट्स ब्रांड बनने की जर्नी की शुरुआत हुई। आज नाइकी एक ग्लोबल स्पोर्ट्स पावर हाउस है। फिल नाइट की यह कहानी हमें सिखाती है कि कैसे परसिस्टेंस और इनोवेशन से सक्सेस पाई जा सकती है। फिल ने अपनी बुक शू डॉग में लिखा भी है, नो मैटर वॉट अदर्स से अबाउट योर आइडिया, जस्ट कीप मूविंग फॉरवर्ड, डोंट स्टॉप। नाइकी का स्लोगन भी है, जस्ट डू इट।
Audiobook, How to Think Clearly and Make Better Decisions. Welcome, friends. I'm so glad you're here. Let me ask you something. Have you ever made a decision and later thought, what was I thinking? You're not alone. In today's fast-paced, noisy world, clear thinking is more important than ever. From choosing what to eat for dinner to deciding on a career move or a relationship change, our lives are shaped by the decisions we make every single day. But most of us were never taught how to think clearly or how to make good decisions. This audiobook is your guide. You'll learn how to quiet the noise, trust your process, and make choices that truly reflect who you are. Let me share a quick story. A man named Ravi once had 2 job offers. One offered more money but came with stress and long hours. The other paid less but gave him peace of mind and time for his family. Ravi sat down with a notebook, listed what mattered most: health, time with kids, peace, and chose the second job. A year later, he said it was the best decision he ever made. Clear thinking isn't about being perfect. It's about knowing what matters and making choices from that place. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Power of Clear Thinking. Let's start with a simple question. Have you ever made a decision in a hurry only to regret it later? Maybe you said something in anger. Maybe you bought something expensive and later wondered, did I really need that? Or maybe you took a job, chose a partner, or made a big life choice that didn't turn out the way you hoped. It's okay. We've all been there. That's the thing about life, it's full of decisions. Small ones, like what to eat or wear. Big ones, like who to trust, where to live, what career to build. And every one of those decisions shapes our future. Now, here's the truth. It's not the number of decisions that matter. It's the quality of decisions. And the quality of your decisions depends on one skill. Your ability to think clearly. What is clear thinking? Clear thinking doesn't mean being super smart. It doesn't mean knowing all the answers. It means seeing things as they truly are, not how you wish they were, or how you fear they might be. It means removing the fog of emotions, assumptions, stress, and noise, so you can make choices that actually align with your truth. Think of your mind like a window. If the glass is dirty, dusty with stress, fogged by emotions, cracked by fear, you can't see clearly. Clear thinking is like cleaning that glass. It helps you see reality as it is, not as your anxious mind paints it. Why is clear thinking so important? Because decisions are like dominoes. One bad decision can lead to months, or even years, of unnecessary struggle. And one good decision? It can change your entire life. Let me tell you a short story. Maya was 29. She had been working hard in a small company for 6 years. Suddenly, 2 job offers came her way. First offer, a big brand. High salary. Prestige. But it was known to have a toxic work culture. Second offer, a medium-sized startup. Decent pay. No fancy perks. But the team was kind, the culture was collaborative, and her heart felt at ease there. Naturally, her first reaction was, go for the money. You deserve it. Her family agreed. Her friends were excited. Everyone told her, it's your big break. But something inside her hesitated. So she paused. She took out a notebook and asked herself, what do I really value? What do I want to feel every day? What's more important, status or peace? She even visualized herself 6 months into both jobs. And the answer became clear. She chose second offer. And it turned out to be the best decision of her life. Why? Because she didn't just think emotionally. She didn't just follow the crowd. She thought clearly. What blocks clear thinking? Let's be honest, clear thinking isn't always easy. There are many things that get in the way. Stress, fear of missing out, pressure from others, old beliefs and past experiences, trying to please everyone, social media noise. We live in a world of distractions. A world of instant reactions. A world where we're taught to be fast, not thoughtful. But the truth is, slowing down is your superpower. The first step to clear thinking. Here's something powerful to remember. Clarity comes when you pause. Pause before replying. Pause before deciding. Pause before assuming. That small pause creates space between stimulus and response. And in that space, lives your power to choose wisely. Try this. Next time you face a tough decision, take a deep breath. Ask yourself, what do I really want? What matters to me in the long run? Am I being honest with myself? That short reflection can make all the difference. You don't need to have it all figured out. But if you can think clearly, even in moments of pressure, you will make better decisions, lead a better life, and create a future that truly feels like yours. Because the quality of your life is directly tied to the quality of your decisions. And the quality of your decisions? That begins with clear thinking. Chapter 2. The Hidden Enemies of Good Decisions. Let's begin with a simple truth. You don't always think the way you think. We all like to believe we're rational, logical, and objective. But in reality, much of our thinking is quietly shaped by invisible forces, mental shortcuts, emotional impulses, and internal biases. They whisper in the background, influencing what we see, how we feel, and what we choose. These hidden forces are the enemies of clear thinking. And if we don't learn to spot them, they'll keep driving our decisions, often in the wrong direction. What are mental biases? A bias is like a mental blind spot. It's a tendency to think in a certain way that may be flawed or misleading. Think of it like this. If your brain is a GPS, biases are the small glitches that send you down the wrong road, even when you believe you're going the right way. They don't make you stupid. They just make you human. Bias 1. Confirmation bias. Let's start with one of the most common ones, confirmation bias. This is when you seek out, remember, or give more importance to information that supports what you already believe, and ignore everything that challenges it. Here's a quick story. Ravi was convinced that a certain stock would go up. He read articles that confirmed it, watched YouTube videos that said the same. But when some experts gave warning signs, he dismissed them as negative. He only saw what he wanted to see. A month later, the stock crashed. And he realized he didn't do research. He just looked for proof to feel right. That's confirmation bias. To avoid it, ask, what evidence would prove me wrong? Am I being open to other views? Clear thinkers don't just look for proof, they look for truth. Bias 2. Overconfidence bias. Now let's talk about overconfidence bias. This is when you think you know more than you actually do. You feel certain about your decision, even if your knowledge is limited. Anika was starting a bakery. She was confident she didn't need a financial plan. I know people will love my cakes, she said. But 6 months in, she was struggling. Rent was high, supply costs were rising, and she hadn't planned for slow months. Her confidence had blinded her to reality. Confidence is good. But overconfidence can be dangerous. It shuts your ears. It makes you ignore risks. It stops you from asking for help. So, ask yourself, what don't I know? What could go wrong? Who can help me see what I'm missing? Bias 3. Availability bias. This is when your brain gives more importance to information that is recent, vivid, or emotionally charged. For example, if you see news about a plane crash, you might suddenly feel scared of flying, even though flying is statistically safer than driving. Or let's say you heard of one friend who started a business and failed. You might assume starting a business is always risky. But that's not logical, it's just emotionally available information influencing you. To beat this bias, don't trust only what's easy to recall. Look for actual data. Ask, is this true, or just recent and loud in my mind? Bias, sunk cost fallacy. This one is a silent killer of smart decisions. It happens when you continue with something just because you've already invested time, money, or energy in it, even if it no longer makes sense. Let's say you've watched a terrible movie for 1 hour. You want to leave, but you tell yourself, I already paid for the ticket, might as well stay. Or you stay in a relationship, a job, or a project longer than you should, just because of what you've already invested. But remember, throwing more time into a bad decision won't make it a good one. Clear thinkers don't ask, what have I spent? They ask, what's the right choice going forward? Why do we fall for these biases? Because our brain loves shortcuts. Every day, we make hundreds of tiny choices. Our mind uses patterns, habits, and feelings to save time. That's helpful, but also dangerous. Because shortcuts sometimes take you straight into the wrong decision. So the goal isn't to eliminate all biases, we can't. The goal is to be aware of them. To pause and question. To shine a light on blind spots. That awareness, that pause, is the beginning of clear thinking. This week, try this simple practice. Write down one decision you're facing. Ask yourself, am I only listening to what I already believe? Am I too sure of myself without data? Am I reacting to something recent or emotional? Am I holding on just because I've already invested? Just doing this will help you think more clearly. In the battle between clarity and confusion, knowledge is your sword. When you know your mind's blind spots, you can start to rise above them. You can pause, reflect, and shift the direction of your decisions. Remember, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your thinking. Make your thinking clear, and your decisions will follow. Chapter 3, Slow Thinking versus Fast Thinking, the two systems of your mind. Have you ever jumped to a conclusion, only to later realize you were completely wrong? Maybe you misread someone's tone in a message. Maybe you bought something expensive in a moment of excitement. Or maybe you fired off a quick reply to someone and regretted it the very next minute. That's not because you're foolish. That's because you were using what psychologists call fast thinking. And today, in this chapter, we're going to explore how your brain actually has two modes of thinking, one fast and automatic, the other slow and thoughtful. And once you understand how they work, you'll begin to make smarter, calmer, and more confident decisions. Let's dive in. Think of your mind like a car with two gears. The first gear is quick, automatic, and instinctive. The second gear is slower, more deliberate, and logical. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman, who won the Nobel Prize for his research, calls these System 1 and System 2. Let's understand each of them. System 1 is your brain on autopilot. It helps you make split-second decisions. It's emotional, instinctive, and effortless. You use this kind of thinking when you recognize a friend's face, react to danger, drive on a familiar road, or say 2 + 2 = 4 without thinking. It's always on. It keeps you safe. And it saves your mental energy. But here's the problem. System 1 makes mistakes. It fills in gaps. It assumes. It jumps to conclusions. And when you rely on it for important decisions, you often end up making the wrong call. Now, System 2 is your thinking brain. This part of your mind is slower, but smarter. It kicks in when you really need to focus, analyze, and evaluate. You use System 2 when you solve a difficult math problem, plan your finances, reflect on your career path, or analyze a tough decision in your relationship. It takes effort. You actually have to concentrate to use this system. And that's why we often avoid it. We're wired to take shortcuts. But here's the truth. All wise decisions come from System 2. It's the part of your mind that pauses, that asks questions, that separates emotion from logic. Let me give you an example. Anjali worked in customer service. One day, she received a rude and angry email from a client. Her first reaction? She got upset. Furious, even. Her fast-thinking brain, System 1, wanted to hit reply and fire back. She started typing an angry response. She was ready to defend herself. But then, she paused. She took a breath. She stepped back. She let her slower, more thoughtful brain, System 2, take over. She reread the email, calmly this time. She realized the client wasn't actually attacking her, he was just frustrated about a late delivery. So she rewrote her reply, professional, empathetic, and helpful. The result? The client apologized the next day and thanked her for her support. That's the power of shifting from reaction to reflection. So the question is, how do you know when to use fast thinking and when to slow down? Let me walk you through a few simple clues. If you're in a dangerous or urgent situation, like crossing a road or avoiding a fall, fast thinking is your friend. You don't have time to pause and reflect. But if you're making a decision with long-term consequences, like choosing a career path, making an investment, or ending a relationship, slow thinking is absolutely necessary. If the task is familiar and simple, fast thinking is fine. But if the situation is new, complicated, or emotional, that's your signal to slow down. And here's a good test. If you're feeling angry, afraid, or too excited, pause. Emotions often hijack your fast thinking. So when emotions are high, wisdom is low. Use those intense feelings as a sign. That's the moment to breathe and bring in your slower, wiser self. Before you reply to a text, before you react to someone's comment, before you say yes to something, just take a breath. Count to 3. Ask yourself, am I reacting or responding? Am I seeing this clearly? Is this the kind of decision that needs deeper thought? This tiny pause can shift your brain from automatic to intentional, from careless to careful, from regret to clarity. Just like muscles in your body, your slow-thinking brain needs exercise. Here are a few ways to strengthen it. 1. Read deeply. Books that make you think strengthen focus. 2. Journal your thoughts. It slows your thinking down and reveals hidden patterns. 3. solve puzzles or brain teasers, it activates logic. 4. Ask why and what if. These simple questions challenge your brain to go deeper. Over time, you'll build a habit of clear thinking. You'll start to catch yourself when you're rushing. You'll develop the wisdom to know when to speed up and when to slow down. So the next time you feel the urge to react quickly, take a moment. Step back. Let your thinking brain step forward. Because smart decisions aren't about speed. They're about clarity. Fast may win the race, but slow wins the right race. Remember, don't just react. Reflect. And when you reflect, you begin to rise. Chapter 4. Decision-making frameworks that work. Have you ever been stuck between two choices? And no matter how hard you think, you just can't decide? Maybe it's whether to take a new job, or whether to end a relationship, or even something simple like whether to speak up in a meeting. Sometimes, thinking harder doesn't help. What you need is a structure, a way to organize your thinking. That's where decision-making frameworks come in. In this chapter, I'll introduce you to some simple, powerful tools that can turn your confusion into clarity. You'll learn how to slow down, sort your thoughts, and make choices that are smarter and less stressful. Let's begin. Why use a framework? You see, when emotions run high, or when the options feel too overwhelming, our brains go into a kind of fog. We start second-guessing ourselves. We go in circles. And often, we just give up. Or make a rushed decision. Frameworks are like mental maps. They help you lay out the facts, see things clearly, and guide your brain step by step toward a solid answer. Think of them like recipes. Instead of guessing ingredients, you follow a structure. And that structure leads to better results. Let me share a few of the best ones. Framework 1. The classic pros and cons list. Yes, it's simple. But don't underestimate it. When you're torn between two options, writing down the pros and cons of each can give you instant clarity. Take Oriv, for example. He was trying to decide whether to relocate for a better job. On one side, the salary was higher. The career growth was tempting. But on the other side, he'd be leaving his aging parents and his tight-knit community. So he wrote it all down. And in that process, he realized something important. Money mattered, but not more than his peace of mind. He chose to stay. And he found other ways to grow where he was. That's the magic of writing. It pulls thoughts out of your head and puts them where you can see them. Framework 2. The 10-10-10 rule. This is a brilliant method when you're overwhelmed by emotions or urgency. Ask yourself 3 simple questions. 1. How will I feel about this decision 10 minutes from now? 2. How about 10 months from now? 3. And how about 10 years from now? This expands your perspective from short-term emotion to long-term wisdom. Let me tell you about Sneha. She had a heated argument with her boss. In the moment, she wanted to quit immediately. But before doing anything, she used the 10-10-10 rule. She asked, how will I feel 10 minutes after quitting? Answer, relieved, but also scared. How will I feel in 10 months? Maybe jobless. Maybe regretting it. And in 10 years? She might laugh at this moment, or learn from it. So instead of quitting, she took a break, cooled off, and later had a respectful conversation that actually improved her work relationship. That's how a 10-10-10 moment can save you from a lifetime of regret. Framework 3. Second-order thinking. This one's a bit deeper, but incredibly powerful. Most people make decisions based on first-order consequences, what happens immediately. But smart thinkers go a step further. They ask, and then what? Let's say you're thinking of eating junk food. First-order effect? It tastes great. But second-order effect? You feel sluggish later. Third-order effect? You fall behind in your fitness goals. Now flip it. Imagine waking up early to exercise. First order? It's hard. You're tired. Second order? You feel energized afterward. Third order? You build discipline and long-term health. Second order thinking helps you look beyond the now and make decisions your future self will thank you for. Framework 4. Reversible versus irreversible decisions. Here's a quick mindset shift you can use today. Ask yourself, Is this decision permanent, or can I change it later? Because if a decision is reversible, don't overthink it. Try it. Test it. Learn from it. But if it's irreversible, like choosing a life partner, signing a long-term contract, or quitting a stable job, slow down. Think it through. Get advice. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos uses this logic. He calls reversible decisions Type 2, quick, experimental, and irreversible ones Type 1, the ones you can't afford to mess up. This approach saves energy, reduces stress, and helps you move faster when you can, and slower when you must. Framework 5. The values filter. Sometimes, the right decision isn't the easiest or the most logical. It's the one that aligns with your values. So when in doubt, ask, which option is more aligned with the kind of person I want to be? For example, Rishi had a chance to work on a high-paying project that involved misleading clients. It looked good on paper. But deep down, he felt uneasy. So he paused. He asked himself, do I want to be someone who compromises honesty for money? The answer was clear. He declined the offer, and later found a better one that matched both his skills and his integrity. Values are like a compass. When logic is confusing, your values will always point you in the right direction. Sometimes the best framework is another person's perspective. Talking things out can reveal what you already know, deep down. So ask a mentor, a close friend, or even your future self, what would the wiser version of me say? Because clarity isn't about knowing everything. It's about being honest with what you already feel and giving it structure. In the end, no tool can guarantee a perfect decision. But a good framework gives you a better process. And a better process leads to better outcomes. So next time you're stuck at a crossroads, don't spin in circles. Pick a framework. Follow the steps. And trust that clarity will follow. Because wise decisions don't come from pressure. They come from structure, stillness, and self-trust. Chapter 5. Managing emotions while making decisions. Let me ask you something honest. Have you ever made a decision you knew wasn't right, but you made it anyway, just because you were angry? Or anxious? Or scared to disappoint someone? You see, most people think decision-making is all about logic and facts. But the truth is, emotions drive most of our decisions. Sometimes quietly. Sometimes loudly. And if we don't know how to manage them, emotions can completely cloud our clarity. In this chapter, let's talk about the emotional side of decision-making, and how to stay grounded when your feelings try to take the wheel. First, understand this. Emotions are not bad. They are not your enemy. In fact, emotions carry important messages. Fear can protect you. Excitement can energize you. Sadness can point to what really matters to you. Anger can signal injustice or crossed boundaries. But when emotions are unprocessed or unregulated, they can overpower your ability to think clearly. Imagine trying to drive through heavy fog. That's what it's like to make decisions in the middle of emotional overwhelm. So, the goal isn't to remove emotions. It's to understand them and give them space without letting them take control. Let's take the story of Asha. She had been offered a great job in another city. Higher pay. Exciting role. But she hesitated. Why? Every time she thought about saying yes, her chest tightened. She kept thinking, what if I don't fit in? What if I fail? One evening, she sat down with a friend and admitted, I don't know what's wrong with me. I should be excited. Her friend asked, are you afraid of the job, or are you afraid of change? That question hit hard. Asha realized it wasn't the job that scared her, it was the emotional weight of leaving behind her comfort zone, her family, her known world. Once she recognized the emotion, fear of change, it became easier to work through. She wasn't paralyzed anymore. She was prepared. And she took the job, not with fear, but with clarity. Here are 5 practical techniques to manage emotions without ignoring them. 1. Pause before deciding. This may sound simple, but it's powerful. When you're emotionally triggered, the worst thing you can do is rush. Your brain switches into fight or flight mode, and logical thinking shuts down. So instead of reacting, pause. Step away from the situation. Take a walk. Sleep on it. That pause creates space between emotion and action. And in that space, clarity is born. 2. Name what you feel. You can't manage what you don't recognize. So when emotions rise, ask yourself, what exactly am I feeling? Is it fear? Guilt? Pressure? Shame? Excitement? Is this emotion about the decision or something else? You'd be surprised how many bad decisions come from misplaced emotions. Like saying yes to something out of guilt. Or saying no out of fear. When you name the feeling, you stop being a victim of it, and you start making choices around it. 3. Regulate your nervous system. When emotions run high, your nervous system goes into stress mode. So the smartest thing you can do is calm your body first. Here's how. Take 3 slow, deep breaths, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Splash cold water on your face. Go for a short walk. Journal your feelings, even for 5 minutes. These small actions send a signal to your brain. I'm safe. I don't need to panic. I can think clearly. Your body is the gateway to your mind. If you calm your body, your mind follows. 4. Separate emotion from action. Feel your feelings. Always. But don't make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. You can feel angry and still choose not to send that harsh text. You can feel afraid and still say yes to the opportunity. You can feel guilty and still set a boundary. Let your emotions inform you, not control you. Here's a helpful phrase. I'm feeling this, but I don't have to act on it yet. 5. Ask, what would the calm version of me do? This is a great tool when you're emotionally flooded. Just ask yourself, if I were calm, grounded, and thinking clearly, what would I do? You don't need to have all the answers right away. You just need to create a little distance between you and the emotion. You'll be amazed at how quickly wisdom steps in when panic steps out. Sometimes, emotions aren't just noise. They carry truth. If you feel hurt, maybe something valuable to you was disrespected. If you feel nervous, maybe you care deeply about the outcome. If you feel guilty, maybe your action clashed with your values. Use your emotions as data, not directions. Don't ignore them. Decode them. Next time you have to make a decision, try this. 1. Pause. 2. Take 3 deep breaths. 3. Ask yourself, what emotion am I feeling? Is it helping or clouding my judgment? What would my calm self do right now? Even this short reflection can move you from emotional chaos to mental clarity. In the journey of clear thinking, emotions are not roadblocks, they are road signs. They show you where to slow down, where to turn, and where your values lie. But remember this. You are not your emotions. You are the one who notices them. And when you learn to manage what you feel, you take back the steering wheel of your decisions. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, pause. Feel. Reflect. And choose with calm, not chaos. Because clarity begins where reactivity ends. Chapter 6. The role of intuition in smart decisions. Let's begin with a question most people avoid. Can you trust your gut? You know that feeling. When something doesn't feel right, even though everything looks fine on the surface. Or when something just feels right, even if there's no clear reason. That's your intuition speaking. Some call it instinct. Others call it inner wisdom. And while modern society often worships logic and data, intuition remains one of the most powerful and mysterious tools we have. But when should you trust it? When should you question it? And how do you sharpen it so it becomes your ally, not your enemy? Let's explore. What exactly is intuition? Intuition is your brain's ability to recognize patterns without conscious reasoning. It's the mental shortcut that tells you something's off in a situation, even when you can't explain why. But here's the interesting part. Intuition is not magic. It's not guesswork. It's actually a form of rapid, subconscious processing. Your brain has stored years of experiences, memories, feelings, and outcomes. And sometimes, it makes connections faster than your logical brain can. That's why great artists, athletes, leaders, and even firefighters talk about trusting their gut. They're not guessing. They're accessing knowledge that runs deeper than words. Raj was a venture capitalist. One day, a young entrepreneur came in with a flawless pitch. The numbers were solid. The deck was perfect. The projections looked amazing. But halfway through the meeting, Raj felt something off. He couldn't explain it, but something in the founder's energy didn't sit right. Maybe it was forced confidence. Maybe it was how he dodged certain questions. Raj politely declined the investment. 6 months later, that startup collapsed due to hidden financial issues. Was Raj lucky? No. His intuition picked up on subtle signals his conscious mind missed. That's the quiet power of intuition, especially when it's backed by experience. So, when should you listen to your gut? Here are a few situations where intuition is often reliable. 1. When you have experience in that area. Intuition becomes sharper the more you practice and learn. A seasoned doctor can often sense what's wrong before tests confirm it. An experienced teacher can feel when a student is hiding something. A business leader may detect a deal that feels too good to be true. In these cases, intuition is simply fast-track wisdom. So if you've spent years in a field, your gut is worth listening to. 2. When logic hits a wall. Sometimes, all the analysis still leads to confusion. You've made the pros and cons list. You've weighed the data. But something still feels unclear. In that fog, intuition can act like a compass. You don't always need to explain why something feels right. You just need to honor that internal signal and look deeper. 3. When you feel calm, not fearful. Real intuition often comes from a place of calm clarity. It's not loud. It's not panicky. It's not driven by fear or pressure. In fact, if you feel urgent, desperate, or overly emotional, that's not intuition. That's likely anxiety or impulse pretending to be your inner voice. So ask yourself, is this a calm inner nudge or an emotional reaction in disguise? That question alone can prevent many poor choices. When not to trust intuition blindly. As powerful as it is, intuition has limits. It can be wrong, especially when shaped by biases or trauma. For example, someone who was betrayed in a past relationship may feel suspicious in every new relationship, even when there's no real reason. That's not intuition. That's a wound. Or someone raised in fear may have a gut feeling to avoid every risk, even healthy ones. So remember this. Not every gut feeling is guidance. Some are just echoes of old pain. Learn to tell the difference. How to strengthen your intuition. Good news. Intuition is not just a gift, it's a skill you can develop. Here's how. 1. Spend time in stillness. Noise kills intuition. When your mind is constantly distracted by screens, notifications, and other people's opinions, you lose touch with your inner compass. Make time for quiet. Sit with your thoughts. Go for silent walks. Meditate, journal, or simply be still. In the quiet, your true voice gets louder. 2. Reflect on past decisions. Look back at moments when you did follow your gut, and it worked. Also, look at when you ignored it, and regretted it. What did it feel like in those moments? Was there a pattern in how your body reacted? The more you reflect, the more you'll learn your own inner language. 3. Combine intuition with logic. The best decisions often come from a blend of both. Use logic to lay out the facts. Then use intuition to feel into them. For example, I know this job pays more. But do I feel energized or drained when I think about it? This partnership looks smart on paper. But do I feel a deep yes or a quiet no? The mind gathers information. The gut interprets it. Together, they become wisdom. In a world full of noise, intuition is your quiet guide. It won't scream. It won't demand. But if you learn to listen, it will always speak. And often, the deepest wisdom doesn't come from overthinking. It comes from tuning in. So the next time you're faced with a hard decision, try this. Gather your facts. Ask for advice if needed. Then find a moment of silence and ask yourself, what does my inner compass say? You might be surprised by the clarity that rises from within. Trust your mind. Trust your heart. And most importantly, trust the voice that speaks when everything else goes quiet. Chapter 7. Clarity under pressure, making decisions in tough moments. Imagine this. You have 5 minutes to make a decision that could change your life. The pressure is high. People are watching. Emotions are rising. Your heart races. Your thoughts scatter. And suddenly, your mind goes blank. This is what pressure does. It shrinks your thinking. It hijacks your logic. It triggers survival mode. But here's the truth. You don't need to be fearless to make great decisions under pressure. You just need a few simple tools to stay grounded, focused, and clear, even when the world around you feels chaotic. In this chapter, you'll learn how to think straight in stressful situations, handle emotional storms, and make confident decisions when the heat is on. When you're under pressure, your brain enters a mode called fight, flight, or freeze. It's a survival response. Your body thinks you're in danger, so it prioritizes fast reaction over deep thinking. The result? Tunnel vision, racing thoughts, shallow breathing, and poor decisions. You can't plan clearly in panic mode. So the first step is learning how to calm your nervous system before you respond. Because calm isn't just a feeling, it's a superpower. Vikram was a brilliant engineer. But he dreaded public speaking. One day, he had to present a project to senior leadership. He knew the material inside out, but 5 minutes before the meeting, he started to panic. His hands were sweaty. His heart raced. His mind felt blank. But instead of spiraling, he stepped outside for a moment. He closed his eyes. Took 3 slow, deep breaths. He whispered to himself, "You've done this. You're prepared. Just start." He walked in. He didn't try to be perfect. He just focused on explaining one idea at a time. The presentation wasn't flawless, but it was authentic. And it impressed the room. What made the difference? Not his intelligence. Not his slides. His ability to stay calm under pressure. Let's walk through a few practical tools to help you stay sharp when it matters most. 1. Breathe before you decide. This may sound too simple, but it's backed by science. When you take a deep breath, in through your nose, out through your mouth, your body shifts from stress mode to calm mode. Try this in any high-pressure moment. Stop for just 10 seconds, inhale slowly for a count of 4, hold for 2, exhale for 6. This sends a signal to your brain. I'm safe. I can think clearly. One breath won't solve your problems, but it creates space for better thinking. 2. Buy yourself time. Pressure often comes with urgency. But here's a secret, you usually have more time than you think. Before making a big call, try saying, "Let me think about that and get back to you shortly. Can I sleep on this and respond tomorrow? Let me take a moment to process before I decide." Most of the time, people respect thoughtfulness more than instant answers. So don't be afraid to slow things down, even just a little. Time brings perspective. And perspective brings better choices. 3. Focus on the next best step. When you're overwhelmed, don't try to solve everything. Just find the next right move. Ask yourself, what's the smallest thing I can do right now to move forward? What's the clearest part of this messy situation? Big problems become manageable when you break them into steps. Don't think about the entire mountain, just take the next step up the path. 4. Stick to your values. Pressure often tempts you to act out of fear, guilt, or people-pleasing. But tough moments are when your values matter the most. Ask, what kind of person do I want to be in this moment? What decision would I respect a year from now? What's right, not just what's easy. Let your values guide you when your emotions try to trick you. That's how you stay proud of your decisions, even when they are hard. 5. Speak it out loud. Pressure isolates us. It tells us we're alone. But decisions get lighter when you share the load. So if you're struggling, speak to someone you trust. A mentor, a friend, a calm outside voice. Sometimes, just saying the situation out loud helps you hear what your inner wisdom already knows. You don't have to carry pressure silently. Pressure doesn't just create stress. It also reveals what matters most. It forces you to choose. It sharpens your focus. It makes you aware of what's really important and what's just noise. So instead of fearing pressure, use it. Let it reveal what truly deserves your energy. You will face tough moments. You will be tested by deadlines, emotions, and uncertainty. But you don't have to be fearless. You just have to be present. Pause. Breathe. Reflect. Don't try to make the perfect decision. Make the clear one. The grounded one. The one you can stand behind with your head held high. Because real strength isn't about always knowing the answer. It's about staying calm long enough to find it. Chapter 8. Avoiding analysis paralysis when overthinking blocks action. Have you ever thought about something so much that you ended up doing nothing? Maybe you kept switching between two choices. Maybe you researched every possible angle. Maybe you asked 10 different people for advice and still couldn't decide. Welcome to the trap of analysis paralysis. It's when the search for the perfect decision becomes so overwhelming. You freeze. In this chapter, we'll explore why overthinking happens, how it sabotages clear thinking, and, most importantly, how to break free so you can move forward with confidence and peace. Why we overthink. Let's be honest, you overthink because you care. You want to make the right decision. You want to avoid mistakes. You want to control the outcome. But ironically, the more you try to control, the more you lose control of your clarity. Why? Because your brain wasn't designed to handle infinite options. When you keep feeding it more data, more possibilities, more what ifs, it short circuits. It says, I don't know what to choose, so I'll just keep thinking. And thinking becomes your way of avoiding choosing. Neha had 2 job offers. One with a big company and a stable paycheck. The other with a startup that aligned with her passion, but had risks. She made spreadsheets. She asked friends. She researched the companies. She wrote journal entries every night. 3 weeks passed. Still no decision. Eventually, one of the offers expired. And with it, she felt both relief and regret. Her overthinking had made the choice for her, by doing nothing. That's the hidden cost of analysis paralysis. Missed chances, wasted energy, and deep mental fatigue. Here's how to know if you're stuck in overanalysis. You keep asking the same questions, but never get closer to an answer. You wait for the perfect time, the perfect sign, or the perfect feeling. You feel mentally drained just from thinking about deciding. You avoid committing because you're afraid of regret. Sound familiar? Don't worry. The solution isn't to stop thinking, it's to start thinking differently. Let's go through a few powerful tools to escape analysis paralysis and make decisions with more ease. 1. Set a decision deadline. One reason we overthink is because there's no finish line. So your brain keeps spinning. Fix this by giving yourself a clear deadline. For example, I will choose by Friday evening. I'll think for one more day, then I'll decide. If I don't choose in 24 hours, I'll go with option A. Deadlines create momentum. They shift your brain from perfection to progress. 2. Define what good enough means. Perfection is the enemy of action. So ask yourself, what does a good enough decision look like here? Am I trying to make the perfect choice, or just a solid one I can live with? Sometimes, 80% clarity is enough. Don't wait for the stars to align. Choose when it's clear enough, not flawless. 3. Limit your information intake. More information isn't always better. At a certain point, it becomes noise. So set a rule. I'll only talk to 2 people for advice. I'll read 3 reviews, then decide. I'll research for 30 minutes, then take action. Remember, clarity doesn't come from more, it comes from enough. 4. Flip a coin, then notice your reaction. This sounds silly, but it works. Assign one option to heads, the other to tails. Flip a coin. When it lands, observe your gut reaction. Do you feel excited? Relieved? Disappointed? That feeling tells you more than hours of thinking. The coin isn't your decider, it's just a tool to tap into what you already feel. 5. Make peace with uncertainty. Here's the truth most people avoid. No decision comes with complete certainty. Every choice has unknowns, risks, possible regrets. So the goal isn't to remove all uncertainty. The goal is to become comfortable with some uncertainty. Remind yourself, I can't control every outcome, but I can trust myself to handle what comes next. That mindset turns fear into freedom. Feeling stuck? Try this. 1. Set a timer for 5 minutes. 2. Write down your top 2 options. 3. For each one, list 3 pros and 3 cons. 4. Then ask, which one feels more aligned with my values? Which one moves me closer to who I want to become? 5. Then, decide. You don't need a lifetime of thinking. You just need 5 minutes of clarity and courage. Clarity doesn't come from thinking more. It comes from thinking clearly and then acting. So if you're stuck in endless loops of what if your mind keeps spinning but your feet won't move, take a breath. Set a limit. Pick a direction. And remember, you don't need the perfect decision. You just need a brave one. Progress begins when overthinking ends. Chapter 9. How to learn from bad decisions without losing confidence. Let's be honest. No matter how thoughtful, careful, or smart you are, you will make a bad decision at some point. Maybe it's a career move that doesn't work out. Maybe it's trusting someone who lets you down. Maybe it's a business choice, a health choice, or something as personal as a relationship. And when it happens, the voice inside you whispers, I knew it. I should have seen it coming. Why did I do that? Maybe I'm